I welcome you to our today's music lesson. Today we shall be learning notes and notes values. The lesson objectives will be you'll be able to identify the notes by their names and their values. What is a note? As I explained to you earlier in the prior lessons, we said that music as an area of study has symbols. And so a note is just a symbol, but a special symbol denoting the value of time or the duration of a beat. It could be a full beat. That is, a beat could be a full beat, it could be half a beat, it could be a quarter of a beat, an eighth of a beat, and that subdivision continues down the value ladder. Let us learn the structure of a note. A note has three parts. A note has a head, it has a stem. This is called the head. This is called the stem. This other note has a head, has a stem, and a flag. Some notes have several flags like this. 2 flags, 3 flags, and more others. The more the flags, the shorter the note. I want you to note this. A note may have an unshaded head or a shaded head. Remember half a note that I introduced you to. A half a note has an unshaded head. All the other notes from a quarter note below to the shortest note, they have a shaded head. On the board here, there is a presentation of some notes and their values. These symbols are drawn this way. This is similar to an oval shape. It is a whole note. So its value is 1. It happens to be the longest note, the longest beat. The second one is written like this. Look at it closely. It looks like a golf club. That is the club that is used for golfing. But in the head, it has no shading. It is half a note. That is half of this note that is above here. The whole note. The other one, it looks also like a golf club, and it has a value of a quarter. a quarter of this, but a half of this. This other, it looks like a golfing club with shading and a flag. It is the eighth of this one. Half of this, a quarter of this, and an eighth of this. This other also looks like the same, but it has a head shaded and the stem has two flags. It is called a 16th of a note, meaning it is half of this, it is a quarter of this, it is an eighth of this, and it is a 16th of this note. The other one here down looks like a golf club, but the stem has three flags. This flag, this other, and this other. It is called the 32nd note. It is half of this, a quarter of this, an eighth of this, a 16th of this, and a 32nd of this. Now we learn how to write the note symbols. So we draw them this way. A whole note, you draw an oval shape. This is a whole note. Half a note, you draw a club. You draw the structure of a club that way. This is half a note. The quarter note, you draw a club, but you shade the head. You shade the head. This is quarter a note. An eighth note, you draw a club with one flag and you shade the head. The 16th note, you draw a club with two flags. The 16th note. The 32nd note, you draw a club like structure with three flags and you shade the head. So this is the 32nd note. Let us learn the notes names. As you can see, this is a presentation of the notes that we have already learned. A whole note, this one, whole note, we call it a semi-breve. Half a note, we call it a mini. Quarter of a note, we call it a crotchet. Eighth a note, we call it quiver. 16th a note, we call it semiquaver. 32nd of a note, we call it semi-demiquaver. And we can go down to the 64th of a note, that is called semi-hemi-demiquaver. So that is a more advanced level. So these notes get longer as we climb up the factor tree, and they get shorter as we go down the factor tree. I mean, the beat gets longer as we climb down the factor tree, and the beat gets shorter as we go down the factor tree. Let us look at the presentation of the notes factor tree. On the board, you can see the presentation of the notes and how they flow on the factor tree. We said that the semi-brief is a whole note. That is, two minim notes makes a semi-brief. That is, 4 crotchet notes makes a semi-brief. That is, 8 quiver notes makes a semi-brief. That is, 16 semiquavers makes a semi-brief. And 32 semidemiquavers makes a semi-brief. We summarize it this way. 2 semidemiquavers makes a semiquaver. 2 semiquavers makes a quiver. 2 quavers makes a crotchet. 2 crotchets makes a minim. 2 minims makes a semi-brief. With the knowledge of note values, I would like us to do this exercise. The first question: how many eighth notes make a whole note? 8. How many 16th notes make a whole note? 16. How many 32nd notes make a whole note? 32. How many quarter notes make a whole note? 4. How many half notes make a whole note? 2. How many whole notes makes a whole note? 1. We do another exercise. Identify the value of these notes. What is the value of this note? This is an 8. What is the value of this note? This is a 16. This note, this is a 32nd. This note, this is a quarter. This note, it is half a note. This one, a whole note. At the same time, let us name the notes. Let us name the notes. This 8th note, we called it a quiver. 16th note, we called it a semi-quiver, meaning half a quiver. This note, we called it semi-demi-quiver. This note, we called it crotchet. This note, we called it minim. This note, we called it semi-brief. These notes, we usually write them on the staff, either on the space or the line. Do you remember what we learned about the staff? It has lines and spaces. You remember we also said that you can extend the staff with the ledger lines. You can write these notes on the ledger lines. We come to the end of our lesson today. I hope you have learned something new today. Continue learning with the music tutor. I wish you good learning.